Good, good evening, everyone. The following message will be in Spanish, offering interpretation services. Buenas noches a todos. Gracias por estar acá. Si desea servicios de interpretación en español, por favor, marque desde su teléfono al 347-966-4114 e ingrese el código de conferencia 559-302-915, símbolo numeral. Le repito, para interpretación simultánea en español, por favor, marque desde su teléfono al 347-966-4114 e ingrese el código de conferencia 559-302-915, símbolo numeral. Por favor, recuerden mantener el micrófono de sus dispositivos en silencio para evitar el ruido de fondo. Esta información será publicada periódicamente en la casilla de diálogos. Gracias. Thank you.
Gracias. Thank you so much. So thank you again. Now that we have connected families to our Spanish interpretation line, we're going to begin. Si alguien necesita las direcciones de interpretación de nuevo, por favor, búscalo en el charla. So just letting everybody know to please check in the chat for Spanish interpretation directions if they're just coming in. So I want to thank everybody and welcome you to the District 75 and President's Council and PIST NYC Parents to Improve School Transportation, our town hall for busing for 2024. I'm going to start with some introductions. We have our ASL interpreters, Sarah Bartow and Denise Kaler, and we are very grateful to them. They will be spotlit on the screen for the duration of the presentation. We also have our Spanish interpreters, Yailin, and I don't see our other one, but we are super grateful that they are here with us as well. And I'd like to move on to a short presentation about everybody that's here. So I am the president of the District 75 President's Council, and we are a body of presidents from parent associations and parent-teacher associations across the city within District 75, which is a highly specialized district with 100% students with disabilities. We are here in partnership with PIST NYC. Many of us are also members. And again, that is Parents to Improve School Transportation. And their founder, Sarah Catalanoto, is with us as well and will be speaking in a moment. If you are available, could you please introduce yourself, Sarah?
Me?
Sarah Catalanoto.
What?
Sarah Catalanoto. Thank you.
I think she said she stepped away for a moment.
And that's
She's
fine.
back.
So we're gonna,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Thank
You, Heather. So I'm gonna, oh, okay. Go ahead, Sarah.
It's okay. I just want to get into it.
Excellent. So that's our founder of PIST.
Welcome. I'm excited.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, we're here for you. So on to our community norms. So community agreements. We want you to share what you need to share, but remember that this is a public forum, so the information that you're sharing are going to be seen by other people. So just be mindful when you're sharing your story, your children's information. Just please be aware. Please be kind. So don't yuck somebody's yum. If some comment is made that you're not in agreement with, we take all opinions and value them. Just don't target people and give negative comments. We will move people that violate this norm to the waiting room. We just want to keep it a safe space, respectful, and getting things done for students. Also want to let everybody know, if you have any questions while speakers are presenting, you can put them in the chat, and we will go back to the chat to get the questions after. Please keep your microphones on mute. We will call individuals by name, and we will make sure to say first and last name so that everybody knows who we're calling. We ask for our speakers and any of, we may have student speakers. And if your student wants to speak, please let us know in the chat. We will make time for students. We just ask that you speak slowly for our interpreters so that our whole community can be part of our conversation and access the information. I also want to give a warm welcome to our CCSE members, our Citywide Council for Special Education, and thank our partners at District 13 and District 17 for supporting this event year over year. We encourage partners who would like to participate in future events. Please email us and let us know, and I will drop the email in the chat when I stop talking. So one more time, if everyone could please stay on mute. If everyone could please speak slowly. If everyone could please put your questions in the chat. Please remember that this is a public forum, and please be kind. We'll have an excellent evening. Thank you, everybody. And I'd like to move on to our first speaker. I'm going to call on Nico from our, so we have 3 students listed. I don't know which students are here yet. So we have Nico. Is Nico available? Student Nico.
Yes, I know.
Student Nico, I know. It doesn't have a last name listed here. So we also have Monica. Monica, your daughter is also listed to speak. If you're here, if you can, and again, we're gonna make space for our students throughout. So if the students are not here yet, it is dinner time. When they do come in, we'll just adjust the agenda and we'll let them speak. Okay, so while we give our students time, I'm going to move on. And again, my co-hosts, if you could please let me know if you see them or not. Jessica Waverka. If anybody sees Jessica Waverka, or if you can raise your hand.
I'm right here. Hi.
Awesome. So I'm going to spotlight you and leave you with the interpreter. I'm going to mute myself. Jessica Waverka, everybody, thank you.
First of all, thank you so much for inviting me here today, Sarah. And it's so delightful to see so many people. Paullette, Heather have been advocating hard for busing for a long time. Sarah asked me today to speak about my recent experiences, which may resonate with others, and some takeaways, and also some asks of the community. Because I see us all working together collectively for the betterment of all of our children, and getting our children to school safely, happily, is really important, right? And getting them home. So this is the 3rd year for my children to be in a non-public school. I have twins, they go to a specialized school together. And this is the 3rd year that I've had issues with bus routing. So the method that we use amongst our community is we gather together. We have one mom who's really wonderful, you know, I call it FBI moms, gets those text message. We get everybody on a group text message, right? And other people use other methods. Sarah told me passing notes on the school bus, you know, any way to get the kids involved. And we also enlist children, right, to give us their feedback about and it's not to spy, but mostly because, you know, the issue that we had primarily was about routing. So 3rd year in a row, I had the bus route from hell. You know, obviously I'm just a parent, but my impression is that there needs to be some real improvement with routing. And additionally, the feedback that I've heard from the professionals is that sometimes the route is perfect and another child is added or deleted at the last minute, and that screws up everything. So I want to give grace and say that there was just a problem with our routing again this year. So we gathered our parents on a email chain. Because this is the 3rd year in a row, I kind of, with the help of people like Sarah and Heather, I've gathered a email list of individuals that I email. And I have partnered for success with the parents and asked every day and every problem that they call OPT and get a ticket number. And every day for every problem, we email that list. So some of you may be on my list and you may have seen the emails from us, right? And I ask my parents, while they have a lot of emotions, that the facts speak very loud. And you have children that live a half a mile from the school being dropped off at 7:30. You have children that are being driven to a different borough right? So some really horrible situations that speak for themselves. So we stick to the facts, we collectively work with action, and most importantly, we're persistent. But very important to underline, we are respectful to all. We see everybody as part of the solution for our children. So my biggest advice that I will give you, in a world where these OPT workers and bus drivers and matrons get yelled at all the day, be the exception. Ingratiate yourself deeply. You know, give thanks every day. Tell them they're loved and they're respected and that you want to work with them. But most importantly, know your rights. And your right is to a free and appropriate public education that includes busing. It is on your IEP. Your children should be there in an appropriate time. You know, I understand that limited time for a lot of our children is required, but sometimes, you know, these are not magic school buses that can fly over traffic. So be reasonable, be respectful, and treat everyone as the professional they are, and try to be flexible. So I have, just in closing, I have 3 requests that I have made till I am blue in my face on the first, which is that us non-public student parents deserve access to the tools to track the buses. We do not have access to that information, so we don't know all the complete information. I have installed Life 360 on my children's phones, and I am now the defunct sort of, hey, the bus has arrived, the bus has left, and we kind of update each other, right? Which is great. And that's not something that's available to everybody, but if you can do that kind of chain and kind of help be aware. Secondly, a method for, and this actually came from one of the parents, a method for us parents to discreetly help drivers and matrons understand the individualized needs of our children, especially our children who have hidden disabilities, who maybe they have other cultural or language barriers that make them appear to be not the most responsive to requests. If there was a way for us to help educate, because I really do believe that that we're all here as partners for success. So if that was something that, Sarah, I don't know if I assume that's on the radar or already has been discussed. And then lastly, because, you know, and while we don't really ever want to have to ask for a driver to be changed, in the case of our first driver, it had to happen because this driver, for whatever reason, was not able to follow the route and did not have the technology, the GPS, or the knowledge of Brooklyn, right? So she did the route the opposite than it should have been done. And OPT tried to instruct her to change it, but she just couldn't. So they had to replace it. And this wonderful woman showed up on the first day with this wonderful tool called GPS, and she follows her route, right? So really, in closing, I really do genuinely believe that every single person who works for the bus companies, works for the union, is here to partner for our success, and that we should be, if there's an issue that's a matron issue, you discuss it with the matron. A driver issue, discuss it with the driver. A shop steward issue, you kind of try to work through the system. Not every issue is an OPT issue, right? So just please just keep advocating for your children. It's worth it, and know your rights. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jessica. That speaks volumes. And as an NPS parent, we absolutely use the grapevine. And I don't know why it works so well in NPS and not in other places, but wow, like the grapevine works. So I want to thank you for letting parents know to use that as a tool, because numbers speak and volume matters. When you get 20 complaints a day on one bus route, that there's flags that go off in their system. They have to check that route. So use the system to your advantage. Thank you. Before we move forward, we got 100 more people than when we started, and we need to do the announcement for Spanish interpretation again. So if one of my Spanish interpreters could please come back on to do the announcement again, we would be very grateful. Thank you. And I see that the Spanish was posted in the chat again. Thank you for that as well.
Good evening, everyone. The following message will be in Spanish, offering interpretation services. Buenas noches a todos. Para los que acaban de llegar, si desea interpretación simultánea en español, por favor marque desde su teléfono al 347-966-4114 e ingrese el código de conferencia 559-302-915, símbolo numeral. Le repito, para interpretación simultánea en español, por favor marque al 347-966-4114 e ingrese el número de conferencia 559-302-915, símbolo numeral. Por favor, y es muy importante, recuerden mantener su teléfono en mudo, en silencio, cuando ingrese a la línea de interpretación para poder garantizar la calidad de sonido para todos los participantes de la línea. Esta información será publicada periódicamente en la casilla de diálogos. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I also see in the chat a question about Chinese. We did try to get Mandarin, but we were unable to. We are going to do this again, so please reach out to the email in the chat, D75pres, P-R-E-S, council@schools.nyc.gov, and we will get you the information. We've already begun requesting interpretation in Spanish and Chinese for the entire year for all of our events. So we apologize for this evening, but we will have it for our next town hall. So I'm going to move on, or I'm going to move back, and I'd like to call again Leslianne, our student. So right now we're calling students. And if your student is interested in speaking, let us know in the chat.
Yeah, you have to. Come on.
Hola, Monica.
Hi.
Hi, Leslie. I know, mommy. Come on. It's going to be 1 minute and you're done. I appreciate you. Thank you. You're a strong girl.
Okay, so tell how it is like when the bus picks you up on time, and who do you get to sit next to in the bus? What's her name?
Yeah.
Mia. And you and Mia go where? To the same school, right? And also Mia lives in the same area, right?
Yeah.
So the bus able to pick you guys up in the same area, and you go to the same school and you get to sit next to each other, right? And how does that make you feel?
Fine.
Fine, that's it? You don't get excited to see her?
Happy.
Happy? Okay. Okay, so now talk about when remember when you didn't have any busing and how hard it was to get to school?
Hard.
Hard? Why? You remember why? Because remember like how long it takes you to walk to school and get to okay, but it's a lot for you to walk to school, right? Okay, so when you didn't have the busing, was that a hard time for you? Okay. Anything else you want to say? No? Okay. That's all.
Thank you, Leslianne. We appreciate you. Adults, you know how hard it is to speak. So we want to thank and support our students when they are courageous enough to come here and talk about what they're going through. So thank you, Leslianne, from all of us here, because you're exactly who we need to hear from. I'd like to call our other student speaker, Nico. And let me check my chat just to see if Nico is available or not. And if not, we'll move on. All right, so I'm going to move on to the next person. And again, like we said, we're going to be very flexible with our students. So if we just need to plug them in later on, we will do so. So now I'd like to move on to our next speaker, which is Paullette H from the D75 President's Council Legislative Committee, who is a longtime parent and advocate, to speak about our, I'm gonna let her say it. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. And I just wanted to acknowledge that we have over 200 people in the room right now. And every year when we hold this town hall, we get such robust and incredible engagement with our families, because we understand that, you know, the human impact of not being able to have the bus show up reliably on time for our children is very frustrating and heartbreaking. And, you know, as a community, we come together and we're stronger when we work together towards making these changes. That's why I'm so happy that we have Matt Berlin, who is the CEO of Nice Bus, here with us to talk about things that his particular company is doing to advance and make things easier and less stressful for our families. And I'm so grateful to have Nico Hedge, who is the leader of our ATU union, who represents our bus drivers and our bus matrons, to give us the other side of their frustration of dealing with OPT. They're just as frustrated as we are, and collectively together with the workers, with the bus attendants, with our dispatchers, with our bus vendors and partners, we can come together and definitely make a bigger impact and hold those who are actually responsible in terms of funding, in terms of contracts, in terms of regulations, you know, make them do what they're supposed to do, which is deliver our children from our home to their schools safely and without disruption. That being said, I have just a few updates that I wanted to make everyone aware of, and, you know, keep it going in the chat. It's really incredible seeing all of the different stories that are coming up in our chat and showing that we have solidarity. We have people sharing information. We have people talking about, yes, I can't get via to work either. Things of that nature. I don't know where my child is. My bus still doesn't show up. I mean, this just brings us closer together because we're all in this shared experience of trying to get our buses just to show up for our children. And one of the things that spurned our advocacy in terms of a larger step is that we, as a disability community of New York City Public Schools and those in NPS and in charters as well, we filed a complaint with the United States Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights Division on behalf of our students, to the fact that without proper transportation, it violates our children's right to a free and appropriate education. And we are so grateful to the lawyers that have been working with us to get this complaint on file. We are so incredibly grateful for our parents who have signed on for the complaint. When our colleague Heather Daly from the Citywide Council of Special Education comes on for her portion, she will be able to share with you how you can still become a plaintiff in this particular case. The more voices that we have, the louder, the bigger megaphone we can provide. Because as of right now, it's been very bureaucratic. We're not getting much movement, and we need a bigger push. And I'm all for public shaming people. If we have contacts, if we have media, if we have, you know, friends who have very loud and powerful platforms, and that includes our partners in our elected officials, our city council, our public advocate, our controller, our borough presidents, they have, you know, they can join our voices together and put pressure on the Office of Civil Rights to actually address the complaint. Because as of right now, it has been almost a year and they have yet to address our complaints. So in that initiative, we are launching the hashtag Where's My Bus campaign. And we have reached out to other school transportation advocates across the nation. So in California, in Indiana, in Ohio, in Colorado, both rural and urban areas that are having very similar challenges when it comes to pupil transportation, getting their children to school via school bus. We are joining forces and we're launching Where's My Bus? And we encourage all of our attendees who are here today, no matter what seat you fill, whether you're a parent, whether you're an administrator, whether you're a unit coordinator, whether you're a bus driver, whether you're just frustrated of not being able to get your child on the bus, use hashtag Where's My Bus, and we'll put that into the chat so that everyone has the right campaign. That is going to link us to your stories. That's going to link us to the amount of frustration that you're having. That's going to link us all together, and we're going to be able to unite as a nation, and pretty much collectively yell at our federal government. This is a nationwide problem. We are nationally discriminating against students with disabilities when we cannot get them to school. So if you are on Twitter, if you are on Instagram, if you are on the TikToks, if you are on all the new platforms, Facebook, everything like that, use Where's My Bus in order to highlight the trauma and travesties your family is going through when it comes to your bus not showing up, the lived experience, the ramifications that happen, whether that's your child missing their OT session because they can't get to school for that first period, whether they're not being able to participate in after school programs because there's no transportation available after school, whether that is your child not being able to make the credits necessary to graduate because they keep missing first period. All of those stories are relevant. Share them on social media, use the hashtag Where's My Bus, and we can unite across the nation to put that pressure onto the federal government to address our complaint and finally hold the people who are responsible.
Thank you.
No problem.
That's awesome and tough to follow. So thank you. And I'm going to just move on because there's nothing else to say about that. So please follow our OCR, it's Office of Civil Rights, our OCR complaint, and please join our national campaign, Where's My Bus? I'm sure you've heard us all say it in a meeting here, in a meeting there. We hashtagged it. It's cool. We're gonna have t-shirts next time. On a different note, that's our next fundraiser. We're not gonna talk about that. We're gonna announce that later. So we're gonna move forward. Actually, we're gonna move back. So I see a lot coming in the chat. So I wanna say a couple of things. The issues, the complaints for support, I'm gonna drop a link in the chat, and it's gonna be our school year 24-25 bus assistance form. This form is a Google form. Parents, you fill it out for each child. So if you're having an issue, and we need it per child because the issue may be different, the route may be different, and we will get people support. We need for the issues to be in that document because we collect issues citywide from everybody. We are not biased, whether you're District 75 or Brooklyn or Bronx or wherever, NPS. If your kid has a disability, they go to school, we're gonna help you. That's how we operate in this space. So rest assured, you're in a good place with people that understand. I had to work remote today because the bus company called me at 6:45 when my bus is supposed to be here at 6:50 to tell me that there was no bus today. I asked, what about in the afternoon? They said, there's no bus today. I said, what are my alternatives? Crickets. That's on Twitter. And if you want to follow me, that's at Rima Left. Now, I'm going to drop this link in the chat. I'm not going to label it because you guys heard me just say it. I'll label it after, but there's a lot coming in and I need you guys to fill this out. It's difficult for us to capture all of the different issues in the chat and with integrity get them resolved. The form is going to generate a list and it's going to collect the information that we need from you to help escalate your concern. So if you could please just fill out the form that I placed in the chat. And again, I'll label it in a moment. That is how you will receive support from this community here. We're also going to share, because I see a lot of bus app going back and forth, we're going to share another form that is about the bus tracking app, just to see how it's going. So give me a minute to find that one. And when we share that one, that's just to let us know how the app is going. Is it working? Is the driver offline every day? If you have an issue connecting with the app, fill out both forms, because the tracking form we're not using to escalate issues, that is in the support form. So you can, there's a section for other in the issues. You can put that tracking app is part of your issue. So now back to our regularly scheduled program. I'm gonna call Nico one more time, and then if Nico is not available, I'm gonna move forward. So I'm gonna give Nico 10 seconds, and if he can't, while I give him the 10 seconds, some people put in the chat if they're able to speak, and some people have their hands up. Okay, give me 1 second on Nico. The hands and the comments, we asked them to go in the chat. We may not have time to take live comments, but there are at least 5 of us checking the chat. So we will, at the end of the planned presentation, elevate some of the issues that we're seeing in the chat, like I just did with the bus issues, the actual service issues, the tracking app issues, and just your tracking app experience. So I will resend those out now. Nico's ready. So without further ado, Nico.
Hello, I'm glad to be here at the town hall, bus town hall, and I just want to say my bus, my name is Nico. I'm a 6th grader at SOF School of the Future in District 2, and I just want to say how my bus has been going. I've been riding the bus since I was 2, so it's like I've gotten used to it, and my bus has been pretty good. Like it's been really good. It has AC. They're like, I'm getting on time, getting to school on time. They're like never late, like almost never late, and it's just been really good for me. So yeah, thank you for letting me talk.
Thank you, Nico. And see, that's the other part of these spaces. We have to give people flowers when they deserve them. We appreciate the ones that work, the routes that make sense, the staff that go above and beyond because they really care. So we're gonna highlight all the stories because this is our experience, this is our life, this is our lived experience, and people need to know the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I'm gonna move forward now.
Hey Rima, I just want to share.
Yeah, Nico.
I also want every kid to have that experience and have AC and all the things they need to have a good bus experience.
So Nico, I want to ask you a question because I got a cool question in the chat and I think it's for you. So somebody said, I am glad that you're having that experience with your bus. Perhaps it's better service in your area. So let me ask you, Nico, have you always had a good experience on the bus?
No, not really.
Has your bus always shown up on time and got you there with AC and feeling good? Or are you talking about that because this is the first time that you've had that experience with your bus?
This is the first time because when I was in, I think, pre-K, I don't really remember, I took the bus and it took me 2 hours to get to school.
Thank you. And so I just want to say, we highlight the good stories, but the reason that we're so happy about the good story is because that's not the norm. it should be. And that's what we're working towards. And we will help the system get there, if they let us, and if they don't. But just want to say that it's not always, amazing. And so go ahead, Nico, I'm with it. Go ahead. You want to talk? I'll give you 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, I didn't have a bus route. Like at the start of middle school, I didn't really have a bus route, so it was kind of a hard time. And my mom was already like asking for the bus route before school started, and they were even like, "How did you know that?" Like, so we kind of had like a struggle trying to get my bus route for middle school, but now we're pretty good. So yeah.
I'm happy for you, and I'm sorry that you went through those things. And what we can do is promise that we will always be here to make sure that you guys get what you need until we teach you guys to do it. And then we'll support you doing this for your kids. So don't worry, we have a community here, even if we can't get you to school sometimes. So thank you for that, Nico. I'm going to move to our next speaker, which is Sarah Catalanoto, and that is our founder at Parents to Improve School Transportation, to highlight some of our resources and allies.
Good evening, everybody. If one of the hosts could check your email and share at any point while I'm talking, there's a slide with a QR code and a link, and and some of the support, because as we're seeing, everybody has a struggle and is advocating for themselves, but you don't have to advocate by yourself. That's what this is about. There is a school bus movement, as Paullette mentioned, and when we're able to get you to that page in the PIST NYC, that's PIST NYC.org, the resources part has, and the events part have these action steps so that you can also not be alone with what is going on. So the forms that Rima has mentioned, it's clicking off what went wrong so that an experienced parent who may also know the right people to write to, as was raised by Jessica earlier, can help you. Filling out the GPS survey, the app that they made a big deal in February. Oh, all 150,000 school bus riders could know exactly where their bus is. No, because nobody even knew, it wasn't connected right. There's problems. They changed the ID cards. They didn't explain the new sign-on to the workers. We're not really getting what we're paying for with this app, and it probably could have been done more cheaply and more effectively if they would really ask people on the ground, working in the bus companies, parents, people working in the schools, to collaborate and do that. The next thing is the public advocate of the city of New York is an elected official who has to make sure that all the agencies fulfill their charter, their role. And they have developed other ways for you to complain, such that, let's say your child is taking so long to get to school that they are missing school. Let's say you have a 3-year-old and they are wetting themselves and having rashes, your child is falling out from the heat. These serious things, people like that intervening, having your, not just your phone number to your complaint number from calling OPT or filling it out online, but actually having direct messaging to OPT when they see that a lawyer looked at it, somebody in the government looked at it, the advocates who are in this network of school bus parents are watching. That's when you get more attention. It shouldn't be that way. It really shouldn't be that way. But because they're made it that way and that's all they're offering us, we want to make sure the majority of parents know that. And if they get overwhelmed because they get a gazillion emails, well, they should have thought about that. They should have gotten some more updated routing systems. You know, they should have listened. And we'll talk more about how we can change the governance of this service and make it reflect the people who have to live with it later in this program. Sorry. Paullette raised the Where's My Bus campaign and the civil rights complaint, and there are resources about that at this page that the code takes you to. We will add another one when we get it later on. We have a way for you to subscribe to the PIST emails so that if we find out there's going to be a change with the seniority pick or something changed in the forms to fill out to try to get the bus to go somewhere else for after school instead of home. All of the things we find out, we share, as well as events and other workshops that other groups put together. And for people who don't like to sit and read all of that, we have gathered some videos about the nuts and bolts of the questions you guys are talking about in this chat. For example, Metropolitan Parent Center had an event. They'll have another one that we'll share later, but that video is available for you all in this one place. A video from Advocates for Children with slides, all in this place. And, you know, some of you have heard that they spent $27 million to get prepaid car services for kids when there's no bus paraprofessional or some other, what they call a route outage. You know, it doesn't really solve the problem of yellow bus service. It just puts more work onto the family with a less qualified driver who doesn't have a matron, who doesn't have safety training, and they don't let the para ride in that ride share. And there's waiting periods, and there's eligibility, and blah, blah, blah. So what's happening with these $27 million while people are still ending up having to, you know, take their kid to school themselves out of their pocket? I'm not going to get into reimbursement, but we are definitely going to have a lot of PIST meetings twice a month for the rest of this school year where we can workshop people's problems as they come up and to follow up. If you have submitted reimbursement and nothing happened, that's another question that, again, advocate for yourself, but not by yourself. And I wanted to say that if we want to have allies, we have to be allies. And I just want to bring up that, you know, our friends in the Haitian community are getting a lot of grief right now, unfounded and horrific. And that is 30 to 40% of school bus workforce are from that beautiful country. And also some of the alternatives before they got us into this fancy limosis, LIMOSYS, or TRIPS link, we had something called the Drivers Cooperative, which was more community-based. And I believe they also reflected the Caribbean community a lot. And of course, our co-sponsors from District 17 and Flatbush and Crown Heights. So, you know, we're here to show love. We're here to make sure nobody is fighting this alone. And we'll talk more about our big vision for a school bus bill of rights later on in the program and connect you with some more resources. Thank you. Apologize for my voice.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Our illustrious founder and leader from PIST NYC. We are so grateful for your continued advocacy. We have short schedules, but long memories. And so having that collective of parents and teachers and drivers and students who used to be students, used to be teachers, used to be parents, and having that continuity where the players from 20, 30 years ago are still here supporting today's players who, again, District 75, were there for years, you know, so we're not leaving anytime soon. And we have double the time almost. We have 7 extra years to have our kids do extra things and meet extra families and support extra students. So I want to thank Sarah for the longitudinal work that she's done and how that has really set the stage for us to elevate parent voice and advocacy and take it to the next level where every 10 years we don't have to start over. So I'm immensely grateful for that. And your members will continue your legacy to make sure that in 30 years, the students on the bus still have us. Although I am in the unicorn and rainbows frame of mind that we will fix busing in 30 years.
Stop the share, whoever's sharing.
Yeah. All right, so the share is stopped. We're good. We just have our interpretation on now. So we did get one of our students who just jumped in, and I would like to ask if you would like to testify, Lylah Torres.
Yes.
I also want to ask again if everybody can mute yourselves. I think some people are coming in from the waiting room off mute. If you can just please mute yourself. And if somebody can please drop the Spanish interpretation directions in the chat. Lylah Torres, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Hello. Good evening. Thank you for giving me this time to speak. I would like to say a story. So, me and my brother used to go to the same school, and because of that, I got a bus because of that sibling rule. And because of that, when my brother graduated 5th grade, I lost my bus. And for a while, I haven't had one, and my parents have to pay a lot of money to take me to school. And I find that very unfair because I only live 8-10 minutes away in a bus ride. And this morning, my friend told me, oh, I can't take the bus anymore because my bus arrives at like 8:05. So my mom now has to drive me to school. which I find very disappointing because she lives only like 2 blocks away from the school. And her mom still has to take her. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you for letting me speak today. Have a great night.
Thank you, Lylah Torres. For those of you that don't know, Lylah Torres is my daughter, and I will expand a little bit on what she's talking about. So there are certain exceptions made for certain populations, and when a student has a sibling that's in a school, there's a sibling exception where students can then go to that same school. But there is no associated busing with this exception. So for the first 2 years in that school, we had to take the bus and cabs to get her to school. After much advocacy, and I will say one of the positive things that OPT has done, they put her on the route with my son, because also there was a bus already coming to my house every day and going to the school every day. And I was told that those kids don't ride together. And for anybody that knows me, you know how I feel about those kids. So I we advocated. They finally got on the bus together for 2 years, but they're 2 years apart. And my son graduated, and my daughter hasn't had a bus since. And if so, more context, the program that my son required to be educated in was not available in my district. So we didn't have a choice but to go to a school where we had to be bused. We live 2.6 miles away from the school. We live 2 blocks out of district. And for 2 blocks, they refused to provide my daughter busing, even though other students lived almost in Manhattan. But because they were in district and we were in the middle of the district, but 2 blocks out, they refused to provide even a gen ed bus route. And often forget to provide the Metro card on time. So, and there are exceptions for students in transitional housing, that if they're, for example, in their last year, that they would be able to continue the bus, or if they're in transitional housing, that they can continue in the school that they're at and get bused there, so that there's continuity within their education. We don't offer the same for siblings of students with disabilities, yet they probably suffer more than the parents and everybody here. They constantly are having to do whatever is necessary for the family and go wherever is convenient for the family. And it's unfair that the flaws in the system become their experience, and that there are no exceptions for this population who by definition need it. So I just want to elevate and clarify what my daughter's talking about, and that we preach equity, but we only practice compliance. On that note, I'm going to go back to schedule and pass off. I'm going to pass the MC mic to Paullette, and she will continue with part 2. Thank you.
Thank you for that